Hello, everybody, and welcome to True Crime Banter, the podcast aimed at bringing you your dose of murder relaxation. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy the episode. Clickety clack clack clack.
Clickety click clack up on the rooftop.
You look like you were typing with your eyes closed there. While that intro music was
because
going
my eyes
on.
were down?
Yeah. You doing okay over there? You just meditating before the episode starts?
Yes, while I get some work done.
The latest
I
episode.
don't got time to meditate separately than working. It
True.
has to be at the same
best time
Let's
to do
go.
that. Welcome everybody to another Microdose here on the True Crime Banter podcast.
Welcome back.
And
It's been a
today,
while since we did a microdose, right?
Yeah, I mean, shoot, we've been doing stuff like cases lately. Why would we do
Other
that?
stuff.
Yeah, so I hope everyone's having a good, today's Saturday.
Yep.
I don't know what day you're listening to this, but we're recording this on a Saturday.
Yep.
And it's been very warm lately.
3,012 degrees.
And counting.
Humid. The breeze is warm. The shade is warm. I am warm. I hate it.
If only we knew. I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyways, today we've got a few things we want to cover. I got a little question for Christian and the audience.
I love questions.
And then you've got a couple cases you want to talk about real quick.
Yeah, they're short and like I didn't want to get too far into like murder, you know,
Ooh.
like so they're just like some like crime related stories, but they're like a little bit lighthearted-ish.
Ooh, little criminally.
Kind of ish. I don't want to say that because then once we get into it, watch, you'll be like, wow, that's morbid.
It's
You call
fucking
this lighthearted.
disturbing. How dare
But
you?
yeah, it's better than like people getting stabbed and stuff. It's not quite
Okay.
that. So
There's
anyway.
no like Drano down the throat or anything.
Ugh,
Not on this time.
please.
All right. And then I have one last topic I want to discuss before we end the episode. So, before we get into your cases,
Yeah.
I'm going to pose a question,
Okay.
a microdose question of the week.
You guys,
is
I really
I'm
don't
gonna
know
call
what
it.
he's about to say. So honestly.
It is you're going to have a tough time answering this, I think.
Well, he knows me
And
pretty
I would
well,
like to
so
know,
I'm
I would
sure.
like to know if the listeners or viewers what their answer would be. And if you had to limit yourself to one single true crime podcast to listen to for the
easy.
rest of time, who would it be?
True Crime Garage for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a ton that I listen to, but I don't love all of them. I love TCG, baby.
Okay, all right. The captain
Yeah,
and
it's so good.
Mr.
Like,
Nick, the colonel.
obviously, after you listen to us, go listen to them.
Yeah,
They're
for sure. I
my
think-
favorite.
Yeah, they are pioneers, I would say.
Yeah,
in
they've been
true
doing this
crime.
for a hot minute.
Yeah.
Their cases are all super well researched. They have like FBI profilers on there that they're like friends with law enforcement and stuff. Like
yeah,
they have
they're
people
like
on
worked
all the
in
time.
security too, and
Yeah.
no backdoor things.
Yeah, they're like really into technology. The captain makes all of
All
their
the music,
music.
yeah,
like,
which is awesome.
They're super chill. Obviously, I don't say obviously. If you haven't listened to them, they try a new beer every week and
Yep.
give a little rating. And so if you're into that kind of stuff, like alcohol and
Okay.
true
All right. I
crime.
wasn't sure if you were gonna go with
Oh yeah,
True Crime Garage
love it.
because I know like Dateline. Granted,
Oh,
they're,
they're great,
a
but-
show, and but yeah,
They're
there's
like
a lot of
very like obviously it's Dateline, so it's a show. They're filtered. Like this
professional,
is like
yeah.
they swear and
Yep.
they say very inappropriate dildo jokes. Like it's my favorite kind of
them.
stuff.
Luca not hotta,
Yeah,
Puka not
Puka
hotta.
not hotta,
There we
yeah.
go. Okay. All right. Well, that
Yeah.
was nice and quick for
Easy
you.
peasy.
Nice. Well, I would like to know what everyone else, what their
Yeah.
only single, and you can't say True Crime Banter, okay?
Or you can.
No,
I'm okay.
no, you can't suck up to us. Maybe to Christian, but
yeah,
you can't
me
do it to me.
separately, just me, guys.
So
I
yeah.
welcome all of that.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that
Bada
was
bing.
quick. Good for you. You really know yourself
I
quite
do.
well.
I do.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hop into the few little cases you got for us today.
Okay, so I'm gonna end on like a cutesy kind. Well, I don't want to say that. You'll see. It's like a what a happy ending. But this one I
Aw.
thought was kind of weird. And by the way, you guys, I'm reading straight from people.com, which I
Beautiful.
know isn't
We love to cite our sources.
isn't everyone's go-to true crime spot, but they just popped up and had a ton of things to choose from. So I saw this, and after being plagued by how many sad things happen, and how many children die, and how many spouse arguments end in murder, and just so many sad cases, I was like, oh, this is, I don't want to say it's not sad, but it's like
less sad.
It's just weird and random, and like, anyway, so I'm just gonna read straight from it. So it says, federal authorities have arrested a U.S. defense contractor and his wife after it was allegedly discovered that the pair lived for decades under the identities of 2 dead Texas children. People obtained as in people.com, whatever, obtained a copy of the criminal complaint charging Walter Glenn Primrose and Gwyn Darley Morrison with the identity theft and conspiring against the government. The pair, who are in their 60s, were arrested on Friday on the island of Oahu. The criminal complaint alleges Primrose and Morrison have lived as Bobby Edward Fort and Julie Lynn Montague for 3 decades. The real Bobby Edward Fort died of asphyxia in Dallas in 1967, while Montague died in 1968 in Burnett. The criminal complaint alleges that Primrose and Morrison assumed the dead children's identities to obtain state documents in 1987 and social security numbers later the same year. In 1988, the couple remarried under their new names.
Interesting.
According to the complaint, the couple used the names to obtain numerous passports and driver's licenses. Primrose was even issued a Department of Defense credentials as Bobby Fort. A July 25th motion features photographs of the couple wearing uniforms from the KGB.
Oh, okay.
The former Soviet Union spy agency.
They wait for no one.
Yes. Megan Cow, the attorney representing Morrison, said that the photos were taken as a joke. It says, quote, "She wants everyone to know she's not a spy," end quote. "This has all been blown way out of proportion. It's government overreaching," end quote. The court... Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, to me, it sounds like a little... exactly that, blown out of proportion. Like,
yeah, in the pictures, I mean, maybe if anyone gives a rat's ass, I'll put them on there. It's just like, I mean, if you can see them, they're just like not, like, what would you use these for? If
yeah,
they
not
were,
only
like,
that, but...
If you were a spy, why do you have such evidence leaving it around?
Nowadays? Like, is there still the KGB going on?
I mean, these look like old photos, so
yeah.
maybe back then, I don't know, but... it says that the court filings made no mention of why the couple took the names of the dead kids, besides, like, they just took over and used their names.
See, that's what I was going to ask.
It's not like they, declared bankruptcy and took the kids' names and started a business or something.
Right, and I'm very curious. I don't know if maybe their not social, but like their credit score was
way back
bad
then.
Or something, and they're just, like, looking for a restart. Because I do know, that's the thing that people with identity theft.
Yeah.
You basically can open up.
It's not a joke. Identity theft is not a joke, everyone.
That's right.
Anyway.
Millions of people suffer every year.
Anyway, it says that John Montague, the now 91-year-old father of Julie Lynn Montague, so one of the dead infants that they took the identity of, said that he was stunned to discover that someone had been living under her name. Quote, "I still can't believe it happened. The odds are like 1 in a trillion that they found her and used her name. People stoop to do anything nowadays. Just let the kids rest in peace," end quote.
Well, I remember, I don't know if it was a movie or a TV show I watched at one point, but they talked about how to commit identity theft, and it has to do with finding children who died young that nobody's ever going to think about ever again.
Right.
And that's how I got my name. Anyway. I mean, we talked about names last time.
So that's why I said that this one wasn't, like, sad or anything. I mean, like, it's not different. Like murder or anything. It's just, like, so weird and specific. I mean, then you add the KGB thing. It's just, like, really weird. Yeah. So.
All right. Well.
Yeah.
Interesting. Now they're, they're what, in their mid-60s, I think,
they're
or something.
In their 60s, yeah.
Living in Oahu. Whatever they did with their new names over the last 40 years, it sounds like it's worked out for them. So
yeah, and I couldn't find anything about, like, how they were discovered. It didn't say anything. I wonder if, like, they told a friend and the friend was like, "This is fucked up. Like, I'm going to tell someone."
Or,
I don't know.
Or if, like, a photo of them was seen on Facebook and they're like, I know exactly who that is and that's not your name.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. Little catfish situation going on.
You want to hear the second one now?
Bring it.
You're just going to do it.
Just
so this one, is sad, but has a great ending. The ending happened 10 years later. So, it says, once again, from people.com, 10 years ago, on July 20th, 2012, many of us will remember this, a gunman walked into a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, killed 12 people, and injured 70 others during a midnight showing of The Dark Knight Rises. A woman then, known as Lasamoa Cross, who now goes by Lasamoa Lanier, attended the movie with her fiancé, A.J. Boyk, who was one of the fatal people killed in the shooting. He was 18 at the time of his death. She decided to write letters to several of the Aurora police officers to thank them. One of those officers was Cody Lanier. After Lasamoa and Cody met at a Chipotle restaurant to talk, the two quickly connected and began dating. In October of 2021, Lasamoa and Cody got married in Colorado. On the couple's wedding page, Lasamoa wrote, "Some tragic beginnings have very beautiful outcomes," end quote.
Aww.
According to the wedding page, before they met, Lasamoa sent Cody a friend request on social media and offered her condolences before telling him she had a letter and a gift for him. On the wedding page, she also said that after the two had met, they connected instantly when they opened up about experiencing similar losses in their lives. Quote, "What was supposed to be an hour lunch turned into a 4-hour lunch. Catching up, talking about my experience in the shooting and his sweet childhood friend, Danae, who was killed in a car accident back in Montana. She was 18, just like AJ," end quote. He knew what a huge loss early in life felt like, and from there I felt he understood me differently than anyone else, end quote. Cody told 9 News that Lasamoa kind of filled a gap, he added. Beyond that, it was just this connection. Every day since, she's turned into my best friend. Of their marriage, Cody told the station, "Beauty from ashes, man. I don't know what I would do without her." On the couple's wedding page, Lasamoa wrote, "The story started out so dark and tragic, but since that day at Chipotle, every day since, he has been writing of the utmost beautiful and most unconventional love story ever told."
Aww.
Isn't that so nice?
Great.
I was like, wow,
I am crying.
what a story, if they have kids, for your future kids or whoever.
Right, yeah.
That you were at this movie theater and obviously this terrible event happened.
Yeah.
They were engaged, so her and her fiance were watching this movie. He gets killed. One of the offers that responded to the scene, later she's writing thank you notes to all of them, and they just hung out and hit it off. And
yeah, I mean,
10 years later,
like
they're married?
We've heard a few situations similar to that, where whether it's like a firefighter that's, saved someone out of a burning building and they fall in love, and maybe it's just like a movie I've seen in the past.
could be Lifetime,
if
but
not,
also
copywriting that.
It's
and
still like we've heard this before. I've heard it before, like let's use Dexter as an example.
Ooh, yes.
He responds to a domestic violence call or whatever, and Rita, he ends up being with her later. So
spoiler alert, not for long. Well,
Anyway, it's happened before, but I don't know if, I'm sure it has happened, but this is a like pretty big, what would you get, like monumental event, that like a big shooting that was huge. And I'm not taking away from the other love stories, but maybe it was like somebody responded to like a robbery or something, and the officer falls in love with the victim. I don't know.
Case typically that.
Yeah, maybe it's not as known, which doesn't take away from it, but
yeah. I mean, I think all of us know or can visualize the piece of shit.
The
photo,
orange hair. With his gross, weird eyes.
Okay, well, I mean, you're right. That does, it starts off
sad,
obviously sad, but it's always good to hear, that for all of you, anybody struggling with anything, just know that just because things are, bad now or bad
you
things
might
happen,
fall in love.
You never know.
Terrible things happen. You might
go
meet
to
the love of your
Chipotle
life.
and see what happens.
True.
Love is found.
You might be there for 4
one
hours.
burrito at a time. That is our new slogan, and you're welcome. Thank you. We will take the naming rights for that and all of the advertisements. Anyway, interesting. Okay, well, that's good to hear. I mean, I guess. I don't know what I'm saying.
I know. I get what you're saying. Yes, it is.
Well, did you? I don't know if you wanted to touch on maybe the JonBenet Ramsey a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't want to do too much because I didn't look too much at it, I'm going to be honest. I read a couple articles, but it doesn't, I think the way that the whole case information blew up, it seemed like it was a lot bigger than it is, and I'm not saying it's not, but there's been some revitalization in it, I guess. not too much movement has happened. There's not like this huge like breaking thing that happened in the case. It's not like somebody confessed or anything, which people have been doing for years, false confessions about this case. But I think it was the half brother of JonBenet and the dad, I guess, have recently in the past few months, but now I guess it's kind of coming out more for some reason, have started talking about maybe doing some independent DNA testing because the police aren't doing it, and they're prepared to sue to make sure that the DNA is accessible for like if her dad wanted to go test it on his own. Yeah, because he's got money, so he can afford it. So I guess that's kind of been circulating, and genetic genealogy, they really want to try to use it. I guess there's DNA found on the murder weapon that was used on her.
Okay, all right.
There might be other DNA that they have that they're not talking about. I'm not sure, but that's at least what they're referencing.
Yeah, you brought that up like, well, actually, my sister, Kaylin, she sent it to us a few days ago.
And then I've seen it a few places since. And then
Right, so clearly it's kind of gaining some traction as to, what could be going on there. And you brought it up earlier today. And it's just kind of like, genetic genealogy, especially over the last 4 years, has just been exploding these unsolved cases from 40, 50 years ago.
Whether it's a murder or like a robbery or a rape or something, like it's just
So it's everywhere. I think I told you, I was like, I would assume immediately investigators would be like, maybe we should look into that for this case. I'm sure investigators all over the world were thinking that exact thing. And we kind of talked about how, well, you're only limited to so much DNA you can test, and how often you can test it.
And funding. It's not cheap to do these tests. And also you have to keep in mind there's a line, there's a waiting line, just like anything else.
Right, you can't just cut these.
Yeah, like sure, she's famous, but that doesn't, hopefully they're going by that logic that you're still,
not
get
just
in line.
Because it's 40 years old.
25,
30
but
years, almost, So, that'll be interesting.
So, if you guys didn't know that, I mean, if you guys just like aren't on social media or the news or whatever, like that's been going around everywhere. So if you, I guess, are curious.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be really interested to see if, they were able to pull something, because as we started talking about this earlier, that's always been a case where like it's been done, it's been covered. Yeah. Everybody seems to know about it.
Like the Zodiac, stuff like that,
But you mentioned, as we're like talking about it, you're like, whoa, there's actually a lot of weird shit about this case. Like,
which I
there's
forget
a reason it's
until
so
I think
interesting.
about it. Yeah. The ransom note.
And we haven't like talked or covered this in, I mean, I haven't watched or listened to anything on it in probably years.
Yeah.
And then when we start talking about it, it's like we're remembering these details that I completely forgot about. I'm like, oh yeah, that is fucking weird, with the note and the where she was found, and
you leave a ransom note, but then she's
found.
left dead in the basement, and then you don't call for money, but then like. And then the ransom note papers left in the house, and there was a weird Santa thing, and
when it comes down to it, if you guys want to hear us cover it, I mean, I'm not saying we will or we won't, but let us know in the comments. Hold on
real quick, y'all. A True Crime Garage, just saying, if we could scoot back around to that, they cover it in super length. So maybe just go listen to that.
Yeah, there you go. I think they spent like 7 total hours of listening.
Yeah, it's a lot.
So,
it's a lot.
Yes, we will let them do the dirty work on that one.
Yeah.
Before we end this episode, I do want to talk about something came up. Maybe I was listening to another random podcast, not a true crime podcast, and they were talking about serial killers. They were talking about like good-looking serial killers, Ted Bundy, Richard Ramirez, after he got his teeth fixed, and not really Jeffrey Dahmer, but
he's not ugly. But
I mean, Zac Efron's pretty hot though. So wait, did Efron? No, he did Bundy. What am I talking about?
It's all right.
Anyway,
it's okay.
Then they brought up the fact that like the Night Stalker, he was just crawling into people's windows, right, and just like killing them.
Yeah.
And they made a joke. It's a podcast with a bunch of comedians. So they were like, you can't do that nowadays because people got AC. The windows are closed. We're not letting this cold air out,
Yeah.
So he's not just able to just climb in any open window nowadays.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? Because we talked about this. I think it's a lot more difficult to be a serial killer nowadays.
Oh, yeah.
Because of technology, surveillance, everything that's out there, right? I never have actually looked into seeing, are there any, granted, you don't really know about serial killers until they're caught.
Yeah.
But I basically looked up, are there any active serial killers throughout the U.S. right now? And there are. I mean,
apparently there's like 10 all the time in like around you or something,
right.
or whatever. Like.
And there's, there's ones like the Long Island serial killer or,
oh yeah, that's a good case.
What is the I-70 killer?
Uh-huh.
These are like, again, kind of just like the Golden State Killer. Serial killers from back in the day that haven't been caught.
Yes.
But I found one that I've yet to hear about.
Oh.
But apparently just recently, a few months ago, and again, I've never said it here, but Jeff Bezos, you got to figure things out because Amazon Prime has a documentary. So far it's only 1 season long.
Okay.
And it's The Search for the Chicago Strangler.
Okay.
And apparently over, I think since 2006, there's been like 75 black women killed, strangled to death either outside or in an abandoned building. And if you look at all of their deaths, it's a perfect line all the way across the south side of Chicago. And so that is...
is there like an average, did you happen to see or read if there's like an average time in between them?
I didn't. I really, I mean,
it's okay.
I haven't done a full, exploration into it.
Huh.
But I thought it was very interesting because, 2006, there was definitely cameras.
That might be a little bit tough to solve when you think, because I feel like Chicago's got a huge crime rate.
Right,
like,
and
how
I
would
think
you be
that's
able to
the issue.
differentiate?
Yeah, the issue is that it's taking place in a city where they already don't care about gang violence or gun violence.
And you can kind of get away with it when the police force is so overwhelmed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, and that's a city, that people have talked about and used in a lot of political arguments for violence. But it's a good example of it's a perfect city if you want to get away with murder because, like you said, if they're so overwhelmed with things they are already working on, then...
For a while, I'm not going to make this long thing, don't worry, but for a while, I know that I was seeing memes and jokes, and it's also just a topic that I know I've talked about with people where people are like, yeah, man, the 60s and 70s and 80s, 90s too if you want to really, but it's so many serial killers. Like, what was going on back then? Like, there's just so many, and now there's, like, none. And once again, True Crime Garage, just saying, or just talking about this the other day where... No, they're just getting caught so much sooner.
Yeah, you're not seeing
can't get away with it.
12, 13, 15 kill death tolls. No. It's like 2 people, and then they realize,
because they caught them on their Ring camera or whatever.
Granted, they say that once it hits 3 is when it's considered serial killing.
Yeah, because then it can be like a spree killing. There's so many different categories,
But that is the situation is that it's so easy to catch these people that...
Which is great, obviously.
Yeah, we're not seeing serial killers. Yeah. We're just seeing people getting caught for killing people now. And I'm sure if you look at the numbers, there's probably a lot more single death murders than there were back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I would say probably one of the more recent ones would be Israel Keys, which would be a great one to cover at some point.
One of your favorites.
That's... No, my favorite for sure.
Your favorites.
But it is so lengthy.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to even do it if I wasn't going to spend time on it. So maybe that's like a 2 or 3 parter somewhere in the future. But
we're
if you guys don't know who that is, Israel Keys, go look him up.
He's wild.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he killed himself in prison. So I didn't want to spoil that. But that's why it stopped. Besides, he was caught, confessed, and then killed himself.
And
so we're not ever going to get a lot of answers for everything on him. But that kind of adds to the mystery, too. Yeah. We don't know. There's so many.
Should we be thinking him?
Sometimes there's cases I hear that are kind of recent that people are like, oh, maybe it was Israel. Like so many people link because there's so many questions left that people are like, maybe?
Yeah, you hear a lot about these older serial killers where you're like, they've been convicted for 12 or maybe 21 murders total, whatever it is. But then you're like, if you caught him for 20 plus, how many has he gotten away with?
Yeah.
How many do we not know?
Right.
Because he, had to get his fix while he was out of town.
Yep.
And you just wouldn't ever connect the dots.
Exactly, which a lot of them do that.
Yeah.
Truck killers are like that too.
I mean...
Happy Face Killer, that's a good one too.
Herbert Baumeister. He was an example of...
Yeah, he did cross multiple states.
Yeah, and they weren't connecting the dots until they decided to connect the dots. Yep. So if you guys don't know about that case, go ahead. Go back because Christian covered that one and she did quite a good job.
Killed it, no pun intended. Absolutely.
Wow, you are just on fire today. All right, well that's really all I have.
Yeah.
I don't know if again, to bring it back to the top, if you guys had to only listen to one podcast, one true crime podcast, or maybe just one podcast in general for the rest of your life, or maybe only for a year, which podcast would that be?
Yeah.
And then 2, if you know any serial killers, comment below.
Yeah,
and
like
I will
current
swiftly,
ones. Yeah.
I will swiftly forward that to the police if you personally know them.
Hey, you know what? Really quick, going back to that first question, right? What's
Yes.
your favorite podcast? Maybe list also a favorite episode too. Maybe we
True.
can go listen and maybe it'll get us hooked.
Exactly. Is
Yeah.
there an episode that you mean when you think of true crime, if you want to introduce someone to the genre of true crime podcast, what is the one you would go to? And I can't specifically say which episode for sure, but I do know it would be either a True Crime Garage one or a Sword and Scale one.
Sword and Scale's great too.
Yeah. Good old Mike. He's more of my genre, if you ask.
Yeah.
me. All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for today's episode of Little Microdose. And if you guys have anything you want to say or get across to us, I'm just delaying time right here for some reason. I don't know why. Follow us on Instagram, and we got a link tree in the bio there that you can find us. Yep. You can find it all, and that's about it. This has been another episode of the True Crime Banter podcast.
Catch you in the clippity clip.
We'll talk to you later. Goodbye.